Hello there, everybody around the Facebook area. This is old Louis Henslee here coming at you, and I was looking through some pictures of Clayton, Georgia, where I was born and raised, and there's some pictures on here I'd like to tell a little about them, or what little I know about them. And well, let's go from there.
Let's just go from there. All right.
The first one right here, this is Frank Rickman.
Okay.
He was Luther Rickman's son. Luther Rickman was the sheriff, chief police in Clayton, Georgia.
Okay.
And Frank Rickman, he always caught wild hogs and things and take them to that Mountaineer Festival. Have one around his neck and one on sled and a horse a pulling it. Okay, we're going to go to the next one. There is the old road of Clayton right there. That was back in 1930.
1930. And this camera's one of the main ones kind of, you can just kind of keep looking forward. Just keep on.
I'm looking over here at my co-host.
How you doing? All right.
This picture right here, this is Doc Dover. Best old doctor I ever seen in my life. He gave me a mini shot. He used to come to our house too when we got sick. Well, there is Clayton. Main Street, 1935.
1935.
What do you think about that?
Man, 1935, Clayton, Georgia. All right.
And there is the Clayton Tribune.
Clayton.
That's where they made the little old paper, Clayton Tribune.
Okay.
And now we'll go to the next one. Uh-oh, that's a Santa Claus. The Santa Claus. That was Clayton, Georgia, the Christmas parade. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, that was 1910.
1910.
Yes, sir.
Man, that's amazing they even had a camera and all going on back then, ain't it? Horses. Look at that.
Them cars is parked there. That was later when they was having a parade. But the town itself was in 1910.
1910. Okay.
Now they are even coming up through there with a team of oxen. 100 years ago.
Man.
Main Street, Clayton.
What about that?
Next picture. Look at that. That was 1960. That's a chief now, Hubert Page, police. Remember him well. He run us one night over on Shady Side.
He run you.
Had a half a gallon of liquor up in Irvine on a 50 Chevrolet.
Did he catch you?
And boy was driving, he told Page, said, we got a half gallon of liquor on you if you can find it. But he never could find it.
Where was it?
Up in Irvine on I was a Rabun County 1819 bicentennial.
1819.
And look at there. I remember that well. That's right down next to the old housing project.
What are they working on down there?
Huh?
What are they working on? Like the road?
Out there, down next to the Tallulah Falls Railroad tracks.
Oh, okay.
To go to the next picture. Look at that liquor still in Rabun County. Yes, sir. Well, they used to make it now. Just that, 1926. In Persimmon. Now, ain't that something?
What about that?
Well, that's about all they could make a living at.
There wasn't nothing else to do, was
Yeah,
it?
there wasn't nothing else to do. Make liquor and dig taters.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to the next picture. Look at that. That's when old Walt Disney come into town. And he made a movie, The Great Locomotive Chase. And friends and neighbors, if you look real close now at the picture, can you see my finger right there pointing at that?
Yep.
That's Fess Parker,
Fess Parker.
one of the leading men.
What about that?
Famous movie star. He was even Davy Crockett on television. Going to the next picture. Look at that. There's old boxcar of theirs on Clayton Trestle. 1953.
Have you ever walked across that trestle?
Huh?
You ever walked across that trestle?
Yes, sir. I walked across that trestle.
What about that?
I was sitting on the end of it after one time when the train come around the bend. And boy, we had to run the side. That wood strip that's on the side of the trestle, had to run that out across there to get to the other end. Sort of scared me a little bit there. Okay, we're going to the next picture. That, by the way, that railroad car is over the Queen Trestle in Mountain City.
Mountain City. Okay.
There is Clayton. Beautiful little town. Beautiful little town. I'm glad to be from Clayton. Wish I was back. Going to the next picture. Look at there. That's a new frosted food case at this grocery store here. And that was in 1950. Jute Dickerson. Thank you. Going to the next picture. Look at that. That's East Savannah Street in downtown Clayton. 1910.
1910.
Yeah, ain't that something? Next picture. Look at that. Ooh, that's a scary old photo for Halloween of Glenbrook Cottage in Tallulah Falls.
Tallulah Falls. Man, look at that place.
The next picture. Look at that. Roscoe Nelson was Georgia's first forest ranger. 1913.
Man, see that gun on the side? He got a gun on the side too, I think.
Yes, sir. You see that there gun on the side there?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We're going to the next picture. There's the old train. I rode it one time.
One time. What'd you ride it for?
I rode it from Franklin, North Carolina to Dillard, me and my grandpa. And that thing rocked back and forth is worse than a bucking horse. But that's the rockinest thing I ever rode on.
Is that right? So it felt like it was going to fall off the track?
Yeah, I thought it was going to fall off the track. I'm just a little boy. Next picture.
Next picture.
Look at that. That's some people. Claude Drake. I know a lot of you folks know him. Was the first baseball major leaguer to come out of the University of Georgia. Ain't that something?
It is.
Next picture. Look at that. Clayton. Ooh, 1930s.
Look at all them old cars.
Look at them old cars. Here is a Lillian Smith, 1944. Next picture. Ooh, look at that. Tom Rome, the founder of Rabun's first electric company.
Man.
What about that? Next picture. Look at that. That old Black Rock guy.
Black Rock Mountain.
Yeah, that's a
You can
Black
still go up
Rock.
there and tool around up there, can't you?
That thing is 3,640 feet.
That's up there.
Yes, sir. It was opened in 1952. First road to the summit was graded by men with mules in 1931.
What about that?
Okay, next picture. Look at that. That old wave model going out down that main road to Clayton, Georgia. Yes, sir. But that's down around about Dillard right there. The best I can see right there. That's the Rabun Nakuchi School you see there on the hill.
What about that? So that's the Nakuchi
That's
School.
where I went to school, by the way.
So that right there is Rabbit Gap Nakuchi School right there.
That's where I went to school and got my education. Now we're going to the next picture.
Next picture.
Look at that. The people down there are looking at the train. A southbound train of the Tallulah Falls Railroad at the Clayton Depot in 1913.
What about that?
Next picture. Look at that. We're back to the wood chopping contest.
Got some bluegrass players back in the back.
Huh?
Got some bluegrass players back in the back.
Yeah, it's got some bluegrass pickers back there in the back.
Right next to the city barber shop.
Yeah. That was at a Mountaineer Festival, which debuted in 1961. They used to have a time. I wish they still had that there.
What about that?
We're going to the next picture. Does anybody know what that is?
Nope.
Where that's at?
Nope.
This is a fire tower on Rabun Ball. Elevation 4,696 feet. And Georgia's second highest was the first in the area. It was constructed in the 1930s.
What about that?
Next picture. Uh-oh. I used to go there a lot. Big opening dance at the Mountain City Playhouse. It's out on that. How about that? I didn't know Fred Carpenter had a band.
Apparently so.
Music by Fred Carpenter's band.
Now who's Fred Carpenter?
Whoever know that Fred Carpenter had a band? Everyone that did, raise your hand.
Yeah, I didn't.
I think that's Doc Webb's daddy.
Oh, okay.
Next picture. Look at that. Them's immigrants that come into Clayton.
From where?
When they was constructing the hydroelectric dam plants on the Tallulah River from 1911 to 1927.
What about that? That's how long it took to build it.
Look at that.
That's where they lived. Little shacks.
Go on next picture. Look at that. Oh, 1904 on the Chattooga River. The Garrett Lumber Company was logging almost its entire length.
What about that?
There were no roads or railroads.
Man.
Let's go to the next picture. Yeah, they floating them logs out down the river there.
Man. That's where they moved
That
them.
was the transportation.
Yeah, before log trucks, wasn't it?
Look here at them fishing now. Guess what? This is Lake Burton.
Lake Burton.
This year of Lake Burton was looked shortly after it was filled in August of 1921.
What about that? 1921.
Now we're going to go over to the next picture. Look at that. Ain't that something? That's Clayton's oldest commercial building. It's located on East Savannah Street and was built by your Dr. J.C. Dover before 1908.
Man, look at that old fire truck in there.
Yes, sir. You see that old fire truck? I've been down that street and seen that a many a time.
What about that?
Yes, sir. And the depot's right on down here below it.
Okay.
Now we're going to go to the next picture. Ooh, look at that. That was at the Tallulah Falls in the late 1960s.
What about that?
Something, ain't it?
It is.
I love them mountains. Going to the next picture now. March of 1962 in downtown Clayton is a cool picture.
Man.
2,000 babies were delivered in the Rabun Maternity Hospital between November 1942 and February of 1951.
Man.
A lot of babies, ain't it?
A lot of babies.
Going to the next picture, sir.
Okay.
Look at that. The pride of the town of Burton was the steel bridge across the Tallulah River. It opened in 1902 at a cost of less than $2,000.
What about that?
More than 200 families had sold their property along the river, to the Georgia Power for the building of Burton Dam. Let's go on over to the next picture. Look at that. Does anybody know who that is?
I don't know.
In the fall of 1955, Walt Disney cast and crews came to Rabun to film the Civil War tale, the Civil War tale, the Great Locomotive Chase. And Fess Parker was the huge star of it.
Now, is that Fess Parker?
Now that there is.
Is that Walt Disney? That is Walt Disney. What about that, man?
Next picture. That's a H.E. Cannon department store. I know a girl, if she sees this, her name is Becky Cannon. Is married to Sonny Cannon. And she is the daughter of the late Buck and Ruth Darnell. Mighty close friends, almost like sisters and brothers. Next picture. Look at there, Doc Dover. What about, folks? Doc Dover now, he practiced medicine from 1899 until 1966, 1 year before his death. He also served on the school board for more than 50 years.
What about that?
Rabun's first hospital opened in 1951. And Dover is showed here, in 1955 with a new baby. Vicky Justice.
So that's little Vicky.
Westminster, South Carolina.
That's little Vicky Justice.
Yeah.
All right.
The next picture. There's the sheriff, Luther Rickman, poses with a captured moonshine still in front of the country courthouse. 1939. In the 1920s and the 30s, sheriffs were paid $10 for every still they broke up and $50 for every operator they captured.
That's a lot of money back then.
That was a lot of money back then.
Yeah, yep.
Sure was. The next picture. I hope y'all are enjoying these pictures. I sure am.
Yeah, some good pictures.
Look at that. 75 years ago on Lake Burton.
Look at that. He got his little boat.
Lake Burton.
Somebody colored that picture in and made a red boat.
You know what? I've been up on Lake Burton a many a time fishing. Yeah, I used to fish there a lot. I'm going to the next picture now. Look at there. Anybody remember that? Yeah, you do. That's John Redden. He washed dishes at the Clayton Hotel.
Now, he really wasn't the best banjo picker in the world, was he? No. But he did make it in the movies, though, didn't he?
He made it in the movies there, boy.
Yeah, he did.
He sure did. It says right there, in the script that he became famous for the dueling banjos scene, although he did not actually play the banjo.
No, he didn't. Who was playing that banjo?
Eric Weisenberg.
Eric Weisenberg actually played
out of
it.
California.
Okay.
Next picture. Woo! Anybody know what that is? That's a famous Dillard house right there. Ooh, mighty fine food. Mighty fine. Mighty fine. That's the Dillard house dining room looking like. The main dining room was built in the early 1950s.
Early 50s, okay.
Look at that. Look at that. That's the bottom house. It was opened in 1913 by Thad and Irene Bynum. And that was the Rabun County, first concrete swimming pool.
Ah, okay, yeah, that's a swimming pool down there. I didn't realize what we were seeing. What about that? Concrete pool.
Let's go on over to the next picture, okay?
Okay.
Look at that. There's that Mountaineer Festival. There, look at them mules and wagon. Woo! That's something, ain't it?
It is.
And that was in June of 1961. There is a Rabun County High School. How about that? When the waters of Lake Burton covered the town of Burton in 1921. Rabun County High School, which had been located on Clayton's west side since 1925, burned on a cold Sunday morning in March of 1975. Woo!
There's the choo-choo.
Tallulah Falls Railroad. It ran for 58 miles between Cornelia and Franklin, North Carolina.
Man.
Look at that.
Uh-oh, derailment.
The derailment on the Tallulah Falls Railroad south of Tiger in 1921.
So that's what you felt like that train was going to do when you was riding it. You felt like
That's what I thought it was going to do when I was riding it. That thing rocked like a roller coaster. The Tallulah Falls Railroad reached the town of Tallulah Falls in 1882.
Man.
What about they could build a railroad back then and a steam engine?
Yeah, they could. They look a little
What
bit...
about the town of Burton, over Lake Burton? Had two general stores, including the one you see in that picture.
What about that? They look a little bit like the Darlings.
But that there, see, was covered in water.
Oh, that covered after Lake Burton. Okay.
Lake Burton covered that.
What about that? It's all covered up.
Look at that. The 1908 courthouse.
Yeah, wait.
There's old courthouse.
What about that?
This was a jail.
Ooh.
I spent 2 days and nights in there.
In that place, did you? Oh, man.
See, there's Main Street. See, there it had a theater.
Yeah.
Jane Russell.
That's what was playing, huh? Jane Russell.
That's what we're showing.
That old car sitting in front of it.
Yeah. This is old banjo man over here saying goodbye.